At the dawn of the 20th century, Europe appeared confident, advanced, and untouchable. Grand empires ruled vast lands, factories roared with new machines, and science promised a future brighter than any before. But beneath this polished surface, the world was quietly cracking. The First World War did not begin suddenly. It was the result of decades of tension, ambition, fear, and unresolved rivalry slowly tightening like a noose around the globe. Europe was dominated by powerful empires: the British Empire, the German Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Russian Empire, and the Ottoman Empire. Each believed its survival depended on expansion, military strength, and dominance. Industrialization had transformed warfare itself. Nations could now produce weapons faster and deadlier than ever before. This new power created not peace, but paranoia. Nationalism burned fiercely across the continent. Ethnic groups long ruled by foreign empires demanded independence. In the Balkans, often called the powder keg of Europe, Slavic populations dreamed of unity, while empires feared losing control. At the same time, imperialism pushed nations into competition over colonies in Africa and Asia, breeding resentment and rivalry. Militarism intensified everything. Governments glorified military power, expanded armies, and believed war was not only inevitable, but necessary. Germany built a massive army and challenged Britain's naval dominance. Britain responded in kind. France, still bitter over losing territory to Germany in 1871, prepared for revenge. Russia armed itself to protect Slavic allies. Every nation planned for war, even while claiming to desire peace. Adding to this instability was the alliance system, a web of promises meant to ensure security, but which instead guaranteed catastrophe. Europe split into two hostile camps. On one side stood the Triple Entente, Britain, France, and Russia. On the other, the Triple Alliance, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. These alliances meant that a conflict between two nations could instantly expand into a continent-wide war. Diplomacy failed repeatedly. Crises erupted in Morocco, the Balkans, and Eastern Europe, each one increasing suspicion and hatred. Leaders believed that backing down was weakness, and that war, if it came, would be short and glorious. They were tragically wrong. By 1914, Europe was like a room filled with gas. All it needed was a single spark. On June 28, 1914, in the city of Sarajevo, a single gunshot shattered the illusion of peace. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, was assassinated by Gavrilo Princip, a young nationalist connected to secret Serbian groups. This was not just a murder, it was a signal flare fired into a volatile world. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia, believing the assassination was part of a broader nationalist conspiracy aimed at dismantling the empire. With Germany's full support, known as the infamous blank check, Austria-Hungary issued a harsh ultimatum to Serbia. Though Serbia accepted most demands, it rejected those that violated its sovereignty. That refusal sealed Europe's fate. On July 28, 1914, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Russia mobilized to defend Serbia. Germany responded by declaring war on Russia. France, allied with Russia, prepared for battle. Germany then declared war on France and launched the Schlieffen Plan, invading neutral Belgium to quickly defeat France before turning east. Britain had guaranteed Belgium's neutrality. When German troops crossed Belgian borders, Britain declared war on Germany. In a matter of days, a regional dispute exploded into a global conflict. What made this moment so terrifying was the speed. There was no pause, no chance for reflection. Mobilization timetables ruled decisions. Once armies began to move, stopping them was considered impossible. Political leaders lost control to military plans written years earlier. Citizens across Europe celebrated at first. Soldiers marched off believing they would return home by Christmas. Newspapers glorified honor and sacrifice. No one yet understood that this war would devour an entire generation. The spark had been small. The explosion would be unimaginable. World War I rapidly expanded beyond Europe, drawing nations from every inhabited continent into its deadly orbit. Two main sides emerged, the Allied powers and the Central Powers. The Central Powers were led by Germany and Austria-Hungary, later joined by the Ottoman Empire and Bulgaria. Germany provided military strength and industrial power. Austria-Hungary fought to preserve its fragile empire. The Ottomans sought survival against internal decay and foreign pressure. The Allied powers included Britain, France, and Russia, later joined by Italy, 1915, the United States, 1917, and many others, including Japan, Serbia, and several colonies. Each ally had different motivations: revenge, survival, territorial gain, or economic interest. The war became global because empires were global. Colonies in Africa and Asia were dragged into conflict. Battles were fought in the Middle East, the Pacific, and even China. Millions of colonial soldiers fought for empires that denied them equality. Trench warfare defined the Western Front. Soldiers lived in mud, disease, and terror. Machine guns, poison gas, and artillery created unprecedented slaughter. On the Eastern Front, movement was greater, but chaos ruled. The Ottoman fronts saw brutal desert campaigns and civilian suffering. In 1917, the war took a dramatic turn. Russia collapsed into revolution and withdrew. Meanwhile, the United States entered the war, angered by German submarine attacks and the Zimmermann telegram. American manpower and industry tipped the balance. What began as a European war had become the first true world war, total, industrial, and merciless. By 1918, exhaustion ruled all sides. Germany launched a final offensive but failed. Allied counterattacks, fueled by American troops, pushed the Central Powers back. One by one, Germany's allies collapsed. On November 11, 1918, Germany signed an armistice. The fighting stopped, but the suffering did not. The war killed over 16 million people and wounded millions more. Empires vanished. The German, Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, and Russian empires collapsed. Europe was reshaped, but not healed. The Treaty of Versailles punished Germany severely. It lost territory, military power, and was forced to accept blame for the war. Crushing reparations devastated its economy and humiliated its people. Rather than securing peace, the treaty planted seeds of anger and revenge. New nations were created, but borders ignored ethnic realities, ensuring future conflicts. The League of Nations was formed to prevent war, but lacked power and unity. Peace, it turned out, was fragile. World War I changed humanity forever. It destroyed the belief that progress meant peace. Technology had made killing efficient. Trauma became widespread. An entire generation was lost, called the Lost Generation. Politically, instability ruled. Economic collapse, nationalism, and resentment fueled extremist ideologies. In Germany, humiliation and hardship gave rise to Adolf Hitler. In many ways, World War II was born from the unresolved wounds of World War I. The war reshaped society, art, and thought. Old empires died, new powers rose, women entered the workforce, colonized peoples began demanding independence. The First World War was not just a conflict, it was a warning humanity ignored. And the question remains, was it inevitable, or was it allowed to happen?